President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in exercising his powers as provided in Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, has declared a state of emergency in Rivers State. The governor, deputy governor, all state legislators suspended for initial period of 6 months. Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas retired. The 22nd Chief of Naval Staff of Nigerian Navy from 2015 to 2021 has been appointed as sole administrator for 6 months. The state judiciary is not affected. Mr. President, in keeping with the constitutional provisions of Section 305, stated that he has transmitted the gazetted proclamation to the National Assembly and it must be approved by a resolution of both houses within 2 days if they are in session, or within 10 days if they are not in session. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party has rejected the emergency rule in Rivers State, insisting that President Tinubu has no powers to suspend a democratically elected governor. The People's Democratic Party and indeed Nigerians listened with dismay. That's reading their statement now. The national broadcast by President Bola Tinubu, in which the President, in utter violation of the 1999 Constitution, pronounced an imposition of a state of emergency in Rivers State. The PDP outrightly rejects this attempt by the President to override the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, and undermine the votes and will of the people of Rivers State by seeking to depose a democratic government and foist an undemocratic rule in the state. The unconstitutional declaration by President Tinubu of the suspension of the democratically elected governor of Rivers State, Governor Siminalayi Fubara, and the appointment of an unelected individual, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, retired, to govern the state, is a clear attack on our nation's democracy and abrogation of the votes and democratic rights of the people of Rivers State to choose their leader under the Constitution. The action of Mr. President, therefore, clearly borders on attempt at state capture. It is the climax of a well-oiled plot to forcefully take over Rivers State, for which the All Progressives Congress has been bent on stoking crisis to ensure that democracy is ultimately truncated in the state. They invited Nigerians to note that the situation in Rivers State and the reasons adduced by the President cannot justify the declaration of the state of emergency under the 1999 Constitution and a whole lot of things, so that we don't waste a lot of time reading there. Even the Nigeria Bar Association has responded. They're watching. Okay, they wrote quite a number of things, but this is Straight Talk, by the way. My name is Alex Ogbodo. This is Afia Radio 99.3 FM, and I'm joined by two gentlemen here. I have Barrister Ojemba, Chidi Ojemba. He is a lawyer and the head of the Ojemba & Co. That's how I like to put it. Ojemba & Company. Thank you for joining us this morning on Straight Talk. Also with me is Honorable Dr. Nick Obi Ozonsi. He is a public affairs analyst and, of course, a former local government chairman. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Alex, and good morning, my friend Ojemba. I think I like the name.
Yeah. But I call him Ojonatumba.
He's the only one that calls me like this. That's why I started laughing.
Well, it's a long story.
Yeah.
We've come a long way.
We've come a long way.
Barrister Ojemba, let me start with you. The President cited Section 305, and that section has been copiously interpreted by a lot of people in all places, and one will be thinking, was the President within his rights to declare state of emergency in Rivers State based on what happened there as at yesterday?
I like that question because people are always asking me, does he have the right to declare state of... I say yes, he has the right to declare state of emergency, but does he have the right to declare state of emergency in line with the activities that are going on in Rivers State? The answer is no. Look, state of emergency should have been the last option on the table in Rivers State. It shouldn't have even be something that will be discussed, because the federal government cannot deny that they don't have, one way or the other, they don't know what is happening in Rivers State or don't have a hand in what is happening in Rivers State. Everybody knows the activities of Wike. Let me tell you something. There was a problem that broke out at Lagos State last few weeks. I saw how the Mr. President put his foot on the ground, even appointed a committee that went inside there in the house and ensured that everything is in order. So what has happened? When you look at section 305 subsection 3, it contains all the things that will happen, and then a state of emergency will be declared. Go and look at all of them critically, and then observe them in the light of what has happened in Rivers State. You will bear me witness that it hasn't gotten to the point of declaring a state of emergency, because there are other political options. There are other political options that ought to have been exhausted before coming to declaration of a state of emergency. So in my own opinion, it is the last thing that ought to have been done. It is unconstitutional at this moment. It is wrong, even though it is done.
It is wrong, even though it is done. Honorable Dr. Obi Ozonsi, your thoughts on the latest development in Rivers State?
Alex, I think this morning, I was expecting that the first address the way you addressed me this morning is a prophet, Dr. Nicholas Obiorozons, because in this studio, I think in the Afia TV, about 3-4 months ago, I told Nigerians that Wike is looking for state of emergency in Rivers State. I said it clearly and openly, and people were like saying, why should this man say this? I knew what was actually happening and what is likely to happen, and that is what is happening now. Wike wanted a situation whereby there will be a mock crisis, or a crisis that look as if there are no other options that could warrant the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State. So I said it. Well, looking at it, constitutionally, like my friend Ojemba said, the president has power to declare state of emergency. But then, before the provision of state of emergency is put in effect, the National Assembly should first of all vet the contents or reasons why a state of emergency could be declared. The National Assembly has not said anything, both the House of Reps and Senate, even though they will still dance to the music of their master. But then, how could a democratically elected governor and his deputy overnight, just because of mere crisis that does not favor one side? I told us here times without number that Wike is in a mission to destroy PDP in Rivers State and even in Nigeria, and this is one of the strongest steps. I went also further to blame the PDP National Working Committee and the PDP National Executive Council for not bringing Wike to book over his anti-party activities in Rivers State. And it's now playing out. It is now, they are saying that the governors want to come together it's late. What they could have done about a year or 2 years ago is now coming up. I said all these things here. My brother, the state of emergency in Rivers State didn't take anybody by surprise. I was happy how Mr. President handled the issue in Lagos State, calling all the stakeholders, sitting together with them, and amicably the conflict in Rivers State was settled. But he sat down in Abuja there and watched the drama in Rivers State between Wike, his horse trading man, and then the state governor. He watched two of them. Bearing in mind also how Wike forcefully gave him the vote of Rivers State people during the presidential election. It's open. It's not hidden. Now, he watched this drama until the House of Assembly members who decamped from PDP to APC in an open field, in televisions, in everything, in affidavit, later came back and said that they are no more in APC, they are back to PDP. And forcibly they want to regain their position in PDP. As if that is not enough, the Supreme Court of Nigeria now gave them verdict that they are they've not they did not even touch the issue of the camping. They were touching issue of other minor issues in River State that concerns Fubara and whatever. That Fubara destroyed the House of Assembly in order to prevent them from having their legislative duties. And so many other things. The Mr. President was watching this thing. I don't know who is sponsoring the Supreme Court, but based on what the Constitution says they are the last hope of the common man. And whatever be the verdict they have given in any situation is final. Whether they say that the people should be walking with their hands on the ground and their legs up is a verdict. And they are Supreme Court and we have to obey. If they say that people should be crawling instead of entering motor, is a verdict. So what am I saying? Mr. President watched this situation stage by stage until they go to a point whereby these people have to start giving a quick notice. I mean, notice of this to the governor. How can you impeach a governor? They just gave you verdict from a Supreme Court. The governor was prepared to implement the verdict of the Supreme Court, and he visited you people in order to defend what you asked him to come and defend, which was the representation of the budget, and he was locked out. It was in television, it was everywhere. Mr. President is there watching. And after that, there were crises here and there. It was only when the pipeline that is supplying oil to different states of the country, when some people, young men there that were not happy, started tampering with, I'm not in support of that, but that was when Mr. President rose up from sleep and then declared state of emergency. Instead of giving this situation the last trial, instead of calling the governor and Wike to table and the members of House of Assembly, instead of allowing a situation, an environment where the crisis could be exhausted and tried, and then Mr. President went ahead to say that he has declared state of emergency in River State. Yes, he is the president, but a lot is needed to be done. We'll get back to this, Alex.
We'll get back to this. Barrister Ojatumba, a lot of people have been interpreting differently. They're saying that the president overstepped his bounds in declaring a state of emergency, that when it looked like the president was just reading it looked like the decision of the Supreme Court was a script. And if you listen to the president's speech, it sounded like he was just holding the Supreme Court verdict. But then there was also something more. All the blame went to Sim Fubara.
Yes.
So there was no blame for the House of Assembly, who refused to see the governor after the verdict, even though the governor tried, even drove to where they were, but they refused to see him.
Yeah.
Do you think that, I mean, this was a situation of giving the dog that name you wanted to have,
in such a way that you can kill it,
so that you can
kill it.
You can let that stick fall on its
Yes,
head?
I really pity the good people of River State because of the way this
Ojatumba, please, before you continue.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This verdict has already been prepared.
Yes, it has already
ahead
been
of time.
Yes, it has been prepared.
Nigeria should
when this thing started, I thought it was going to be a little problem between the few members of the House and the Governor Fubara. But as the plot unfolds, I begin to see that this is not just a skirmish between two persons. This is a well laid out plan to scuttle democracy in River State. Because, like he rightly pointed out, there are political options that ought to have been explored before you go ahead to declare a state of emergency. That's not the last option on the table. That's not the last option on the table. Let me tell you something. Section 305. If you go through Section 305, there is no place where it is written categorically that you have to suspend the sitting governor. You don't have to do that. State of emergency simply means that there's a breakdown of law and order, and the president have to act in certain emergency way to restore that law and order. But I know the reason why he did it, but they know exactly what they planned, because they created a kind of a mock situation whereby it appears as if the state is on stalemate. let me show you what happened. The Supreme Court told him, go back and revalidate the budget, take it through the House. He went through the House locked him out, and nobody said anything about that, and went on a recess, on an indefinite recess.
And all of a sudden they reconvene.
And all of a sudden they reconvene. So when you look at this whole, you say it is a plot. Everything is well planned. As the plot unfolds, we see that it is the hand of no other person other than the former governor of Rivers State, Wike. This is his plan. This is the kind of thing that he loves and he enjoys to do. But it's very, very unfortunate because the governor of Rivers State is a democratically elected governor. A lot have been put in place to elect that governor.
It is as good as saying that the military should come and take over the leadership in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, yes.
Without any reason.
Without any reason.
So the president is laying a precedent.
A precedent.
Because anything that happened in Rivers State, may likely happen at the national.
Do you know the thought that was going on in my head when you were talking? I said, what has Mr. President actually done now? If, let's take for instance, that the state of emergency that needs to be declared is not in one state, it is in the whole federation. Will he remove himself from the office of the presidency?
During the NSAS is enough for the army to take over Nigeria. A lot of people were killed, but the situation was managed.
It was managed.
How would Mr. President feel then?
Yes,
the time of
exactly.
If the army has come to take
over the federation
without a resolution, without trying to resolve whatever that is the problem in Nigeria.
I said it
the same thing is happening in Rivers
during my newspaper review that if this thing got to this level and Mr. President never wanted to resolve the issue, which means it's a premeditated plan for 2027.
Mr. President is opening a floodgate.
Yes.
For the military.
Exactly.
Because whatever is happening in Rivers State might happen somewhere.
It might happen somewhere. Because
we will take a very quick break. When we come back from that break, we will dig deep further into this and then take phone calls from our listeners. Stay with us. This is Straight Talk on Afia Radio 99.3 FM. We're back. This is Straight Talk on Afia Radio 99.3 FM. State of emergency in Rivers State. Who saw it coming? Was it Honorable Nick Ozonsi that predicted it some weeks ago on the Eastern Eye on our TV show, or Barrister Ojatumba, who's been shouting himself hoarse on our Afia morning show on the newspaper review, crying and yelling in the wilderness? I don't know whether anyone heard his voice. So, what's going on in Rivers, and what do you think about the presidential declaration of state of emergency in the oil-rich Rivers State? Call us on 0911-6993-993, 0911-6993-993. Was that what you were expecting from the president, to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State, or you expected something entirely different? Hello, good morning. What's the name and location?
From Ogbodo.
You're welcome.
Yeah. My brother, such declaration should have been avoided. Why did the president declare such thing, suspending a governor and a deputy? And Wike, who is the architect of the program, was left. He would have released him off his portfolio. Hello?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. So you are saying it's a contradiction. If you are punishing Fubara, then you should also punish Wike, because he is also a party to the crisis.
They are playing the same role. So, but it happened that the president has just developed personal interest in that matter, and if that matter is left unchecked, I'm afraid that it may extend to other states. Thank you.
Thank you. That's an interesting take there. 0911-6993-993, 0911-6993-993. What do you think about the situation? And he's already suggesting that this could be a template to deal with other governors, as it were, who wouldn't agree with what is agreed. I don't know how to put that. Hello, good morning. What's your name and location?
My name is Kelechi, calling from Enugu here.
You're welcome, Kelechi. What's your take on the matter?
Please, this thing I had, in fact, since yesterday, I wasn't happy. Because what was going on in Nigeria is very, very wrong. How can a man, elderly man like Esomike, putting his people under pressure because of politics? A man that's supposed to lay a good foundation to the generation that is coming is the one spoiling things, and Mr. President is still harboring him. Because all of them, if he should be suspended, let him also suspend Esomike. Let everyone there be suspended, not only the governor and the deputy. Why is Esomike will be there in Abuja enjoying, eating his own professor, carrying his bag every day? It's wrong. It's wrong. Mr. President, wake up, please. Wake up. You are slumbering.
All right then. 0911 6993 993. 0911 6993 993. That's the number you can call us on here on Straight Talk on Afia Radio 99.3 FM and talk to us about what you think about the state of emergency declared by the president on Rivers State, suspending the governor, his deputy, the House of Assembly members, and everybody around them. So, I mean, naturally, this has swept away even the political appointees. Everybody's salaries and everything is now on hold, and people are not even thinking about this. They're only thinking about Fubara. So every other person under who draw their living through this administration, contractors who were engaged to do some work, all the policies the government were implementing, everything is now on hold. Honorable Dr. Nick Obiozonsi, how will this impact development in Rivers State?
Even a layman will agree with me that this stalemate in Rivers State has brought the developmental program to a halt in Rivers State. Everybody will agree with me that even all human resources benefits in Rivers State have been brought to a halt. Every administrative arrangement that is being put in place for people of Rivers State to enjoy their dividend of democracy has been put on hold. So, you say the fact that Rivers State is now, do I call it a war-torn zone, or a zone that, a graveyard where nothing is happening, where there's no more implementation of rule of law, from the issue of the central bank of the Supreme Court down to that of the members of the House of Assembly. In fact, that situation has actually crippled everything in Rivers State. Look at the road projects, look at the housing projects, because recently the governor of Rivers State is building a lot of estates, especially for the judiciary and of course the low-income earners in Rivers State. Most of the road project will be brought to a halt. Even the people who were appointed, like you rightly said, the political appointees, and of course the non-statutory workers in Rivers State, those who are not statutorily engaged under civil service, though in short, all political office holders will go with this arrangement. But the question is, if there should be a state of emergency, why should it be at this very short notice, when people are saying digesting and trying to look at what happened with the Supreme Court judgment? It's only in Nigeria here that after every judgment you hear that judgment should be interpreted. If you tell somebody stop, they say, the court will say, another person will file a case against the stop. Let us interpret what stop means. If tell somebody come, they say no, let's go and interpret it. In Nigeria, court of law, even what somebody in primary school, primary one, can interpret, come, go. and the court will say somebody will file a case for interpretation. So room for interpreting all these things should have been created based on how Nigerians laws have been going. The judiciary, in fact, has turned to be what do I call it? Should I call them jamborees or what do I call them? You see something that is black, you say, let us interpret. What color is this? So, Alex, this situation in Nigeria will affect Nigeria in the next 100 years or more. Because this case will be used to try another case.
Yes.
The case of this versus this. That is, they will be citing it as example.
As a precedent.
Yes. So, River State is in a mess.
Right.
And it's only the electorate and it's only God that can return River State to what it is. Because even after the Mr. President will have lifted this state of emergency after 6 months, where will River State be? The new man that is coming in will first of all look at for his kitchen cabinet.
That's actually where I want to come in, because you know that the Supreme Court suspended the funds of River State,
so,
telling CBN not to pay the money.
Well, but in these circumstances, it's the president that appointed Ibok Ete Ibas.
Yes.
So meaning that he will find a way to
release funds to him to do what? He will not make new laws.
He will not.
Will he start awarding new contract? What will he actually do for this 6 months?
Okay. Just for some context,
yes.
Mr. President, there should be no new
laws.
There should nothing.
Will he award contracts? Will any contract be finished within 6 months?
No, you don't need a law to award a contract.
That's what I'm saying. Law
is needed for dispensation of funds.
There are activities. There are activities that Fubara have started.
Just for a bit of context, state of emergency was declared in Ekiti State,
and also in Jos,
even in
Plateau State.
In Plateau State. Yes. So if you look at the circumstances, they are not the same, because there was obviously, you saw the unrest. People were rioting. So there was need for someone to step in and calm the situation.
Down.
But then the issue of River State.
There's no such scenario in River State.
You cannot cite.
You can't cite anyone.
You cannot cite one instance that the people took to the streets to block the roads. They didn't allow they didn't allow for interstate operations. The only incident that took place, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, was the bombing of that pipeline.
They say it's not politically related.
Well, but you see,
it has not been even investigated up to now.
So the question is, why was the president in a hurry to use the last card first?
That's what I've said it here, that declaration of state of emergency should have been the last thing. And before you do that, you must make sure that the provisions of section 305 subsection 3 are met. They must be met. And the way the constitution couched those sections, it must be palpable. It's not something that you think, I think or I don't think. No. That is uncalled for, because there are situations whereby everybody involved here is a PDP person. Because I was about going to say something. Why is it that immediately the APC government came into power last time, they used the Supreme Court and they took over Imo State. They came into power this time around and they have used Supreme Court, maybe that one did not work, and they have used state of emergency to take a state that was, where a governor was democratically elected. No, it's totally wrong. We have to, like my colleague rightly pointed out, if we keep on going on like this, we are telling the military that civilians are unholy and unworthy to govern themselves, because the kind of judgment that are coming out from this our so-called Supreme Court, and also the kind of political activities that are going on in Nigeria now, one will sit back and say, is this the kind of democracy that we're all clamoring to come? Is it the kind of democracy that we all want? What is going on in River State now hasn't gotten to the level where we will say, let us declare a state of emergency. So this state of emergency is wrong. In my own judgment, it is totally wrong. It is politically motivated. Mr. President should have the same thing he did to Fubara and his deputy. He should have done the same thing to Wike. Let us know that he wants to clear the air. Because you can't leave him as a minister. The only reason and the only power that he's using to witch hunt Fubara is his ministerial appointment. All the way from Abuja. You left him there, you have suspended this guy and the deputy. Wike is not even elected. He's appointed. To remove him will not, you don't need anything. But someone who is democratically elected, who was sworn in according to the constitution, by his people, and you remove him because of state of emergency. This is this is uncalled for.
Well, let's take some more calls here. 0911 6993 993 0911 6993 993. This is Straight Talk on Afia Radio 99.3 FM with me, Alex Ogbodo, and my guests are here, Barrister Chidi Ojatumba and Honorable Dr. Nick Obiozonsi. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning to you. What's your name and location? Good morning to you. What's your name and location? Yes, can you move away from your radio and then you talk to us?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. You have the mic. Go ahead.
Let them also looking into subsection 4 on the same constitution. Again, section 105. Section 4. Subsection 4. Hello?
All right. That we should look at subsection 4. Okay. All right. Okay, you called to tell us to look at subsection 4. Thank you. We will do that. 0911 6993 993 0911 6993 993. This is Straight Talk on Afia Radio 99.3 FM. 0911 6993 993. The state of emergency in Rivers. What do you think? Was it called for? Was it hasty? What do you think can be done now about it? Hello. Good morning. Hello, good morning. There is someone there. 0911 6993 993 0911 6993 993. That's the number you can call us on, and you'll be part of the program here on Straight Talk on Afia Radio, the Eastern Voice of Enterprise. Hello. Hello, good morning. What's your name and location? And your name is? You're welcome, Uche.
I think what is saying us in River State is just a flow of APC trying to take over or make Nigeria a one-party system. Because I don't know why the president should declare a state of emergency over a state and development. And me, as a Nigerian, I am not comfortable with those. And I think we should be careful that we will not do Nigeria into a state of anarchy. Because that's the next thing. Thank you. I leave my case.
All right then. Thank you. 0911 6993 993 0911 6993 993. This is Straight Talk on After Radio 99.3 FM, the Eastern Voice of Enterprise. Do call us and find your voice and what's going on. And so, what happens to the people of Rivers? I'm not sure anybody is asking that question. Hello, good morning. What's your name and location? Chibeze, you're welcome. Chibeze, you're welcome.
You're welcome. I can hear you. I just want to remind us about the little girl on social media that called the president terrible. It is a typical example of what the girl is trying to explain by that was terrible. I just want to remind us on that. The president is a terrible man, and we don't expect a terrible man to behave as a normal man. So that's what I just want to say. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you. So, just for a bit of context, the process of all right, okay, we will get to some of this. Let's try to get some more calls. I'd like to hear some more people. Hello, good morning. Good. What's your name and location?
Judiary from MNA.
You're welcome.
I really like what the studio said. But what I'm enjoying legal groups like Bar Association dispersal of the nation. Nigeria is head.
Your line is breaking. Can you just move away from that location so we can hear you?
Are you listening now?
Yeah, I mean, it's still wobbly. Don't know why. I think you should change your position and call us back. I'm not quite getting it. All right, 0911 6993 993. 0911 6993 993. Hello. All right, 0911 6993 993. That's the number to call us on. 0911 6993 993. Hello. Good morning. What's your name and location? You're welcome, Michael.
Please, sorry to say this. I just on my radio now, and I came to this station. One thing is that our system of in this country is corrupt already. If you take a look, let me tell you what is happening in Rivers State now. Let's take a look what happened in Imo State. That a fourth man, a fourth position became a governor of a state, which is very, very bad. Then taking us back 2023, when rigging was over much. So what is happening in Rivers State? This is a slap to the whole Nigeria, not just a slap to Rivers State. In the best of my own interest, because how can somebody just wake up one morning and rule a country and take the country as his own business? Are you not that with me?
Yes, we're listening to you.
We're not hearing.
Sorry that I have to use it, but I have to say it. They are just in the Abuja there. They close mouth, they couldn't say anything. Tinubu's son now acting vice president of a country.
Where did you hear that from? Did you hear that from an official announcement?
Any evidence?
Do you have evidence to prove that he's the active vice president? Who swore him in? Were you at his swearing-in ceremony?
No, like I said, I read it in the news.
Which news?
All these social media postings.
Oh, you saw it on social media. You couldn't have been from... I'm not sure any radio station read that. You must have seen that on social media. I guarantee you that's a social media post you read. But all the same, thank you so much for your contribution. 0911 6993 993. 0911 6993 993.
I wanted to respond to someone asked a question about section 305 subsection 4 of the 1999 constitution. Let me read it out. It says, the governor of a state may, with the sanction of a resolution supported by 2/3 majority of the House of Assembly, request the president to issue a proclamation of state of emergency in the state when there is in existence within the state of any situation specified in subsection 3. So the person, I hope the person who asked this question is listening. It has nothing to do with what we are facing now in Rivers State. What the section 305 subsection 4 is talking about a situation whereby there a kind of unrest in a particular state, and the governor is unable to carry out his executive duties as a governor. Maybe there is unrest, a kind of any kind of violence. That is when the governor he now with the approval of the 2/3 majority of the state members of the House of Assembly, apply to the president to declare a state of emergency in that state. That governor should also make sure that that unrest does not exceed within the territorial boundary of that particular state. But that is not what we have here in instance. Fubara never invited Tinubu to declare state of emergency, and there was no violence in Rivers State. People have warranted that.
And Mr. President is saying that he did not invite him, he did not inform him. Is it not only when he's out of hand that he can now start calling Mr. President. There was no formal curfew.
There was no formal curfew. No curfew has even been declared. Nobody has died.
No, I mean a street arrest.
No gun.
Are you getting me? So the whole world is watching Nigeria.
Yes.
It's not. People may think that it ends between River State and just Nigeria. The US is watching. The British is watching. The France is watching. So whatever thing we are doing, people should not think that it will only be contained within Nigerian context. It may go beyond this place. Looking at that section 305 that everybody is pointing at, it's clear. It's even clear. Against the people that are taking action against
exactly.
people that are citing that 305. So Fubara has not relented in his executive duties as elected governor of Rivers State.
Never, not.
Fubara has been carrying on, even
launching projects. Last 2 weeks he launched so many projects. Hospitals
should be released to him.
Yes.
He kept working. So I think he's doing his duty, and the situation on ground does not warrant
state of emergency. It does not.
All right. I have the statement by Nigeria Bar Association.
Yes.
This is from Afamo Sigwe's page. The Nigeria Bar Association, NBA, has taken due notice. Give me a minute. Okay. The Nigeria Bar Association has taken due notice of the declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as contained in his address to the nation on the 18th of March 2025. This declaration, according to the President, is due to the prevailing political tension in the state and due to the vandalization of pipelines between yesterday and today. This development has far-reaching constitutional and democratic implications, particularly in the light of the provisions of Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, which governs the procedure for the proclamation of a state of emergency and which the President purported to have relied upon. Section 305 of the Constitution indeed vests the President with the power to declare state of emergency. The section stipulates strict conditions and procedural safeguards that must be followed to ensure that such extraordinary measures do not infringe on democratic governance and fundamental human rights. The NBA is gravely concerned about a purported suspension by the President of the Governor of Rivers State, the Deputy Governor, and the members of the State House of Assembly of Rivers for 6 months. The 1999 Constitution does not grant the President the power to remove an elected governor, deputy governor, or members of a state legislature under the guise of a state of emergency. Rather, the Constitution provides a clear procedure for the removal of a governor and deputy governor as per Section 188.
Impeachment only.
Similarly, the removal of members of the House of Assembly and dissolution of Parliament is governed by constitutional provisions and electoral laws, none of which appear to have been adhered to in the present circumstances. A declaration of emergency does not automatically dissolve or suspend elected state governments. The Constitution does not empower the President to unilaterally remove or replace elected officials. Such actions amount to an unconstitutional usurpation of power and a fundamental breach of Nigeria's federal structure. The NBA firmly asserts that the situation in Rivers State, though politically tense, does not meet the constitutional threshold for the removal of elected officials for a state of emergency to be declared. Section 305(3) of the Constitution outlines the specific conditions, including 1. War or external aggression against Nigeria. 2. Imminent danger of invasion or war. 3. A breakdown of public order and safety to such an extent that ordinary legal measures are insufficient. 4. A clear danger to Nigeria's existence. 5. Occurrence of any disaster or natural calamity affecting a state or a part of it. 6. Such other public danger that constitutes a threat to the Federation. The NBA questions whether the political crisis in Rivers State has reached the level of a complete breakdown of law and order, warranting the removal of the governor and his administration. Political disagreements, legislative conflicts, or executive-legislative tensions do not constitute a justification for emergency rule. Such conflicts should be resolved through legal and constitutional mechanisms, including the judiciary, rather than executive fiat. The purported removal of Governor Fubara his deputy, and members of the Rivers State House of Assembly is therefore unconstitutional, unlawful, and a dangerous affront to our nation's democracy. Furthermore, subsection 2 of section 305 provides that a proclamation issued by the President under this section shall cease to have effect if it is not approved by a resolution of the National Assembly within 2 days when the National Assembly is in session, or if the National Assembly is not in session within 10 days after it reconvenes. These provisions provide that a state of emergency declared by the President does not assume automatic validity. It requires legislative ratification within a defined time frame to remain in effect. The NBA therefore emphasizes that unless the National Assembly duly approves the proclamation, the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State remains constitutionally inchoate and ineffective. In light of this, the Nigeria Bar Association affirms that the President does not have the constitutional power to remove an elected governor under a state of emergency. Any such action is an unconstitutional encroachment or on democratic governance and the autonomy of state governments. Calls on the National Assembly to reject any unconstitutional attempt to ratify the removal of Rivers State Governor and other elected officials. The approval of a state of emergency must be based on strict constitutional grounds, not political expediency. It warns that suspending elected officials under emergency rule sets a dangerous precedent that undermines democracy and could be misused to unseat elected governments in the future. Demands that all actions taken in Rivers State strictly conform to constitutional provisions and Nigeria's democratic norms. Encourages all stakeholders, including the judiciary, civil society, and the international community, to closely monitor the situation in Rivers State to prevent unconstitutional governance and abuse of power. The NBA remains committed to upholding the Constitution, defending democratic governance, and ensuring that the rule of law prevails in Nigeria, and the state of emergency is an extraordinary measure that must be invoked strictly within constitutional limits. The removal of elected officials under the pretext of emergency rule is unconstitutional and unacceptable. We call on all relevant authorities to act in accordance with the law and the best interest of Nigeria. The Nigeria's democracy must be protected at all costs, and the Constitution must be upheld as the supreme legal authority in all circumstances. It was signed by Mazi Afam Osigwe, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, President, Nigeria Bar Association. That is Toja Tumba.
That says it all. You see how he carefully enumerated the purport of Section 305. So everyone will now ask the question, where did Mr. President derive the power with which he used to suspend these elected officials? You have the power to declare state of emergency, but you don't have the power to suspend them. It's not an express power. No matter how you want to express it, it's not an express power. You don't have that power. And once you don't have that power, you don't. The problem I have is that the Senate that we have in this country is a rubber stamp Senate. They will not ask this kind of question. They will not look at what the Constitution says. They will go ahead and give this illegality authenticity. That is the problem.
From where the Supreme Court get the Constitution that says that somebody who migrated or they come from one party to another party, they know they can't pay again. That tells you Nigeria is a dead state. Something that happened in the air, in the open, everybody saw how these people moved. And all of a sudden, the last hope of the common man, which is the Supreme Court, said they never, cross-carpeted.
It is the same Supreme Court who also looked at the current Senate president who never contested for election and made him a senator. That's how he became. You see, when we keep on, short-circuiting this electoral and political process, this is what we get at the end of the day. This is exactly what this whole thing even started. Why would a governor be leaving office and he will be the person who will single-handedly bring the person who will replace him, instead of following the state political process where people will come and say, I am interested in this post. Nigeria is in a comatose. This country called Nigeria is in a comatose. We really have to go back and revisit our constitution again and ensure that the things they were doing, they are the things written out in the constitution. Because when you look at this current situation now, declaring state of emergency, I am not even questioning whether the president has right or not. That is not the question here. The question is that the situation in Rivers State, does it call for declaration of state of emergency? And my answer is no.
And the process,
yes,
he followed.
He followed.
Did he conform with section 305 subsection 4 down? Did it?
I mean, that's a very big question, and I had to take my time to read the statement from Afam Osigwe.
It's clear.
I saw it yesterday, and I said, well, the only way to reference it is by reading it in full, so that I will not read a part of it.
Yes.
So it's important to know that the Nigeria Bar Association responded strongly,
vehemently,
and in a way to say,
if we have a Senate that is vibrant, a Senate that loves democracy, this would have been a very playground.
But
because they would not have consented to this. They will not consent to it.
Barrister, by the time these people leaves
office,
the forum of Nigerian Bar Association and move to Supreme Court, they'll be dancing to the tune
of the highest bidder
of the president. So at their level, they can say the truth.
All right.
But there will be a point they will get to. They say what the president wants them to say.
He who pays the piper dictates the tune.
Yes.
When we cry for independence of the judiciary, this is what we are talking about. How can a president appoint a chief judge and the chief judge will give judgment against him? It doesn't make sense.
All right.
We have to revisit our constitution.
That's a good place to leave it.
Yeah.
And many thanks to two of you, my guests, Barrister Chidi Ujatumba, and he's a lawyer and head of the Ujatumba and Company. Chidi Ujatumba, thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having me.
And of course, Honorable Dr. Nick Obiozonsi. I had to declare state of emergency on you this morning to be here. Thank you so much.
You should call me a prophet because I told you this 2-3 months ago.
Yes.
That this is where we can
driving at
emergency.
All right. And that's straight talk for this morning. We'll be back tomorrow same time. But you can catch me on the Eastern Eye at 7 p.m. on Afia TV, channel 254 on DSTV and channel 17 on GoTV. My name is Alex Ogbodo. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Good morning.